Today we are on Module 2, Lesson 8, Dividing Fractions. And mixed numbers. There's only one new thing that we're going to add to what we've been learning, and that is when dividing mixed numbers, first convert the mixed number to an improper fraction. And I'm going to give you an example of this. For example, if I have 3 1/2 divided by 1/4, the very first thing I need to do is convert this 3 1/2 to a improper fraction. So I know that when I convert a mixed number to an improper fraction, I multiply my my denominator and my whole number. So 3 times 2 gives me 6. And then I add that 6 to the 1, which gives me 7. So now I have 7/2, or 7/2, divided by 1/4. I'm going to use my invert and multiply my keep, change, flip. Keep, change, flip. So I keep my 7/2. I change my division to multiplication. I flip my 1/4 to its reciprocal. Then I multiply straight across. 7 times 4 is 28. And 2 times 1 is 2. Since I'm left with an improper fraction, I'm also going to convert that either to a whole number or back into a mixed number. So I do that by by dividing my numerator by my denominator. So that's 28 divided by 2. How many 2's are in 2? 1. And 1 times 2 is 2. Subtract. Bring down my 8. How many 2's are in 8? There are 4 2's in 8. So 4 times 2 is 8. Subtract. I have my 0. So this becomes my converted answer. Now, if you will take out your book and open it up to page S36 in Module 2, we are doing Lesson 8, Dividing Fractions and Mixed Numbers. There are only 2 examples today. We're going to do these together, and then you'll be doing some practice on your own. So in number 1, it says, Carly has 4.5 walls left to paint in order for all the bedrooms in her house to have the same color of paint. However, she's used almost all of her paint and only has 5/6 of a gallon left. How much paint can she use on each wall to have enough paint for the remaining walls? So the first thing I have to do is decide what this question is asking me. And what it's telling me is I have some paint that I have to divide up so that I can put it all on the walls. So that means I'm actually going to start with this part. This is what she has. She has 5/6 gallon, and I'm going to divide that between 4.5 walls. So just like we put in our notes, the very first thing we need to do is change this mixed number into an improper fraction. So if I have 4 1/2, I'm going to first multiply my denominator times my whole number, which gives me 8. And then I add this 8 to the 1, which gives me 9. So I have 9 over 2. And that's the second part of my problem. So I have to leave it as the second part. So now the problem that I'm actually going to be calculating is 5/6 divided by 9/2. I'm going to use my invert and multiply, which is keep, change, flip. So I keep my 5/6. I change my division to multiplication, and I flip this to its reciprocal, which becomes 2/9. Now I'm ready to multiply straight across. 5 times 2 is 10, and 6 times 9 is 54. Now, certainly you are welcome to leave it as this, but you can also reduce this. So I can think to myself, is there a number that I can divide equally into both 10 and 54? Well, I know that since both numbers are even, I can divide them both by 2. So if I have 10 over 54 and I want to reduce that, make it smaller, I'm going to divide both by the same number. So 10 divided by 2 equals 5, and 54, excuse me, 54 divided by 2 is 27. So 5/27 is what 10/54 reduces to. So that becomes my answer, 5/27. But again, you would still get it correct if you had 10 over 54 because the instructions do not say that we have to reduce. But now I need to write out my answer because it wants to know how much she can use on each wall. So I can say Carly can use 5/27. And remember that we were talking about gallons on each wall she paints. Okay, let's go on to the second part of our example. And on this one, they just give us a problem to solve. So I'm going to read the problem to myself, and then what I will do is follow my rules for division. So my problem says 2/5 divided by 3 4/7. I know that 3 4/7 is a mixed number, so I need to change this. So if I have 3 4/7, I'm going to multiply my denominator times my whole number, which gives me 21. And then I add that 21 to the 4, which gives me 25. And I keep my 7. So this replaces this number in my problem. So now the problem they want me to calculate is 2/5 divided by 25/7. So I'm going to use my invert and multiply, which is my keep, change, flip. So I keep my 2/5. I change my division to multiplication, and then I flip to the reciprocal, which becomes 7/25. And when I get my answer, I'm just multiplying 2 times 7 is 14 over 5 times 25, which is 125. And I can just leave it like that because I can't reduce that any further. So this becomes my final answer. So now you're going to do some practice on your own. If you turn to the next page, it shows you some blank spaces that are labeled A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L. and I'm going to give you some problems that you are going to solve, and you're going to put that information here as you solve the problems. Once you've completed this, then you're going to go on to your exit ticket and your problem set. On your exit ticket, you are calculating 4 different um, equations that you need to find the answer to that are dividing fractions and mixed numbers. And then on the problem set, you are doing the same thing, and there are 4 problems. So you will have a total of 8 problems that you're going to be doing today and turning in. If you have any questions, make sure you let me know.